Leader, I want to raise the issue of Ireland's future and what this government plans are for it. Two areas of particular importance is that with regard to brain drain and birth rates. It's no secret that many Irish people and foreign nationals are educated in Ireland at taxpayers' expense, only to move abroad and take their education, experience and social capital elsewhere. While, of course, the free legal movement of people can be of benefit, and Ireland has a long history of emigration, it does somewhat amount to money out of our own pockets and into those of other countries, who will be receiving the income tax of people who have been educated and paid for by the Irish. Of course, tax isn't the be-all and end-all. It's almost more so the case that we really need those people here. One of the sectors at which this phenomenon is most observed is in healthcare. Irish doctors and nurses flee the country upon qualifying, as there are many greener pastures for young healthcare professionals. Their vacant posts are then filled by immigrants who are also leaving a worse country or situation for a better one. The point is often made when we debate immigration that the HSE couldn't run without emigrants, and it is presented as a sort of a gotcha moment to those who propose decreased emigration. But the question is never asked, why is our national healthcare system reliant on the labour of foreign persons? And is it desirous that it should be? Why is our healthcare system, the most expensive in the EU by some metrics, so bad that our young doctors or nurses flee the country to escape working in it? Or maybe, if young professionals had any reasonable expectations of a place to live that might make them stay. But they don't, of course. Earlier this year, a poll found that when young people in Ireland aged 18 to 24 were asked, would the accommodation crisis make you consider leaving Ireland? 75% of them said yes. The brain drain affects every sector, even Cabinet, as we're set to lose Minister Donoghue and to the IMF, and maybe Minister McGrath to Europe. I hope this isn't a sign of the sinking ship. Lastly, we have to address Ireland's population graph and the demographics that make it up. Countries across the EU are starting to wake up to just how much trouble is going to be caused by Europe's collapsing birth rates. As populations age, new workers must be found to pay for the elderly. Some countries, such as Germany, have turned to emigration to try and solve this. This approach brings with its own problems. Ireland's birth rate has decreased steadily since 2008. It's down 20% in the last 10 years. It's a demographic time bomb. Is the government aware of this? And if so, what minister is going to do something to address it? Thank you.
Margaret, and I hope we should take her advice and go to Paddy Powerstone and put money in the two ministers to be appointed.
Well, that's great.
Senator Keogan spoke this morning about brain drain and the birth rate decreasing. I think the decreasing birth rate is a problem right across, I suppose, the developed world. We're one of the better EU countries, actually, but we're heading in the same direction. But we have the benefit of looking to other countries, like Italy, for example. Even beyond that, I think Japan have a very low birth rate as well, where it's less than 1. So we can see what's happening in other countries and try and address that. I was reading, I think it might have been, maybe it was the Times of the weekend, but it was an article around the impact that has long-term economically if we're not having, if our birth rate continues to decrease. And I do think it's something that the government will have to look at in terms of assisting families, because so many families now are delaying having children because of, housing and job opportunities and women going to college and getting further education. So things have changed, and that's having an impact on our birth rates. That is something to certainly be addressed. Brain drain, I think, as somebody from the west of Ireland, we've always had immigration. People want to leave to a certain extent to get life experience and to work in other countries. I did it myself. I'm sure many other senators did as well. So I'm not as concerned on that front. I don't think I think young people heading off after college or before they head into an apprenticeship and wanting to get life experience is a good thing, and many of them actually come home eventually because home is home. But that's not to say we don't have challenges in the health service, of course, as well. And I do want to concur with the remarks of the senators that our health service relies heavily on workers from other countries, and it would probably collapse tomorrow if they all left. So we have to acknowledge that we need workers in our health service. And of course, we do need to improve conditions in the health service as well for people working in it. And that's been a long problem we've had over many years. Despite huge amounts of money going into healthcare in this country, we still don't have the health service that we want for this country and that we deserve and that we're striving to achieve. But we are making great progress, and as often pointed out, we have the longest life expectancy of any European country. We've made great strides in terms of cancer care, cardiac care, stroke survival, diabetes. So the big killers, as we would cite them, we've made great progress in the last 20 years in terms of survival rates and improving our services. So, the health service is really great in some areas, but there are pinch points, and emergency departments are often the ones we look to. But there's many fantastic things happening in the Irish health service. And, when you do get in the door, we get the best of care. So just to acknowledge the good aspects of the health service as well as some of the challenges that are there.